What's up guys, it's me Deshaun. We're back again with another Fire Force chapter review. And continuing from where we left off, Shinra has become God and restored all life on Earth. Human life has been restored, and the world is reborn. What is the answer Shinra Showman has arrived at? And in these next few panels, we actually get a throwback when it comes to these souls that look like the same souls that we see from Soul Eater. It turns out these four mysterious souls that suddenly appear actually belong to some of the pillars: Inka, Sumire, Iris, and Amaterasu. Despite choosing death, they've all come back to life, all thanks to Shinra's newfound power. And because of this, the pillars are now deciding to reconsolidate their previous decision. They all chose to resonate with Haumea's despair, and because of this, it is only natural they let her make the final decision. Haumea then takes a moment and dawns upon the events that have just transpired. Shinra just recreated civilization. I can't believe you would let humanity's despair accumulate into a cataclysm all over again. This is insanity. I also find this line of dialogue to be very ironic when you take into consideration that the world just got merged with madness. If you guys remember the video that I dropped over a year ago when I predicted that the Kishin would actually be in the Fire Force, I actually took a moment to talk about how madness and order would work. What defines madness and order is whatever society's general consensus is at that time. If society were to all believe Shinra was a devil, that would be their order. And if anything were to go against that, it would be considered or labeled as madness. And for Shinra to bring madness to their law and or order, this would actually make him a chaotic good character. A chaotic good character acts as if his consensus directs him with little regard for what others expect of him. He makes his own way, but he's kind and benevolent. He believes in goodness and right, but has little use for laws and regulations. Shinra has little use for this evil society, this evil order that the evangelist has developed. He is fighting the conscience of humanity with his very own conscience, even if it might be labeled as madness, because he will not stand for this lawful evil. I can't believe you'd let humanity's despair accumulate into a cataclysm all over again. This is insanity. You escaped that hell just to go back to it. That's where you're wrong. Tell me then, what's so different? For as long as there is life in this world, the fear of death can never be escaped. As long as there is human consciousness, despair will never cease. That's correct. Then why? Oh, well, I changed things. Changed things? What could you possibly mean? What exactly did Shinra change? What does he mean by this? We cut to members of the 2nd Brigade, Hijiki and Juggernaut. With everyone being brought back to life, Juggernaut is naturally excited to see his friend Hijiki and tries to hug him. But as he hugs him, he knocks his head off. This is insane. It doesn't make any sense in terms of the laws that our world currently follows. This is similar to what happened in the very first cataclysm that appeared 250 years ago, when it altered the very structure of the world and began to make weird things that shouldn't be happening begin to happen, such as talking animals existing in the world of Fire Force. What Shinra just did is basically the same concept. We see Hijiki walk around headless, and we see Juggernaut's arms actually fall off and reattach. The same thing actually happens to Obi as his head is lopped off and he just plops it back on. Did you notice it as well, Sergeant Hinawa? It seems the depiction of the world has changed again. If I had to guess, now it's like a world of madness. Basically meaning that the world that they currently live in just became the world of Soul Eater. When Shinra recreated the world, he lessened the value of life, and that is why these weird things are now happening. And he did this by creating Shinigami. Yes, Shinra just created the world of Soul Eater and Shinigami as we know it. Haumea is stunned by this and begins to hide. You think that's going to stop me from despairing? Saint, you can decide if I should do things over. If you don't like this one, I'll kick the world in this shape all over again. Let's live it again and again. As Shinra says this, Haumea begins to choose despair again, until Shinra confidently says that she won't, and Charon suddenly appears and begins to introduce himself to Haumea. You still hear that voice of despair, don't you? I know better than anybody the pain you feel from humanity's collective unconscious, but I never gave a rat's ass about humanity or their suffering. It wasn't their pain that hurt me, it was yours. That's why I wanted to create a catastrophe as soon as possible to put Haumea out of her misery. But there is one thing I always regretted. I wanted to see your smiling face, even if it was only once. You were always crying deep inside. Just because we're at the climax doesn't mean you should climax. Was that a bar right there? Hold up. Okay, I'm sorry about that. You don't even have to smile, but please, if I could just see your face again. With the sudden appearance of Charon, Haumea begins to stop choosing despair. It's not fair, Shinra Bansho man. Using Charon, that's cheating. I'm not gonna read it like a female, I'm sorry guys. But with that being said, Haumea then reveals her face. Charon reacts to this. Haumea, in utter shock by her beauty, he approaches her. May I? Pulling her from the veil of the Kishin, the veil of despair. Shinra smiles as he sees this. With the world being recreated, Shinra tells both Haumea and Charon, absolutely nothing is absolute, but I absolutely won't make you regret being born into a world of death. Shinra Bansho man, believe me, now that I've cast off mankind's collective unconscious, I can truly live. Because Haumea has casted off the perception of others, just like what Shinra and Arthur did the entire time during this story. She can truly live. Do not let what others think of you, or what others think, affect who you are or what you want to be. Because only you can truly define yourself. Just because others may think that you're ugly, that does not mean that you're ugly. Just because somebody thinks you're not capable of doing something, that does not mean that you're not capable of doing it. Don't let what others think affect you or the life that you choose to live, or you just might find yourself to be overwhelmed by the flames of despair. Where did all that despair go? In the veil, we suddenly see the Kishin appear, staring down Charon and Haumea, overwhelming them with its malicious intent. You can really see the immense fear filled in both of their faces. Shinra suddenly comes between them. It doesn't have a place in this world, and puts the final blow into the Saint of Despair. Go back to sleep. As he says this, the sun from Soul Eater suddenly appears behind him and begins to smile, laughing at the defeat of the Despair Saint. With everybody's lives starting over from the amount of despair that destroyed them, Shinra tells them, and specifically Haumea and Charon, now get back out there and live again. No matter what you may go through, there will always be a light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how much despair might exist, there will always be hope in all the darkness. And even if you become swallowed by it, swallowed by the despair to a point in which you might not even know who you are anymore, at some point, hope will prevail. And when it does, you can always find yourself in who you want to be and get another chance at living your life again. It looks like Haumea has chosen life. What do we do? I will disappear along with the despair. I'm opting for death. But Amaterasu, I have no interest in going out and living at this point. No, if anyone should disappear, it should be me, your doppelganger. Don't be stupid. Your eyes have always overflowed with hope. You chose to die with Haumea out of kindness towards me and her. Iris, you should live in my place. No, you should live for the both of us. A fake like me? What about you, Sumair? I have seen the modern age, a world of flames, and now a world of death and souls. I have no interest in living as a lone human across 3 ages. Amaterasu, thank you for shining on all of us for so long. You're not a fake, Iris. You're the me I always wanted to be. Haumea now cries out 2 more souls from her eyes, and those souls both belong to Inca and Iris. Followed by that, Shinra, Inca, and Iris all begin to have a warm welcoming, until death suddenly appears. I have no reason to let you continue living. Shinra then answers, yeah, I know. Well, I'll see you guys in the next chapter review.